Good morning. Thank you. My name is Betsy Smalley, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm happy to serve as secretary of your board of trustees. I'm an older white woman with gray hair, wearing a blue jacket and black pants. Our speakers provide visual descriptions to welcome people with visual impairments and those listening online. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please take a moment now to silence your cell phones. We invite you to scan the QR code to check in, access our donation page, or view the order of service. Visitors here in person are invited to pick up a first-time gift at the welcome table out in the gallery. You should also look for the Getting to Know UU sign in Beach Hall after the service to learn more about our congregation. Whether you are brand new here or you were here when we held a Vietnam vigil in 1970, and I was here for that, we welcome you. Everyone is welcome to come chat with me or another board member after the service. There's a lot happening here at First UU, and I'd like to call your attention to the announcements page in your order of worship. I'll share just a couple of the announcements published there, and I invite you to read all of them when you are able. Our Ohio Feed and Read collection for February features shelf-stable proteins, such as beans and rice and canned meats. If you'd like to donate, you can pick up a green bag and shopping list in the gallery and return it next week for distribution to local people in need. See Jacques Angelino in Beach Hall with any questions. Our covenantal relations team is now hosting deep listening circles after worship in Sloter Lounge. Join them for Beyond Small Talk to decompress and recover from your worries. Caregivers of young children is now meeting at breakfast in Beach Hall. Consider joining this group if you have one or more little ones under 5 and would like to explore relationships and play. Please consider parking in the east parking lot off High Street if you are able to allow more space for visitors. The entrance to the lot is between Chipotle and Olive and Lime, and you can enter the building through the east door or follow the path around the side of the building if it is after 11 a.m. And now we will hear from some members of our auction team.
What is the matter, Sparkle Fairy? You look so glum. You're not sparkling.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I've lost my touch.
Oh dear. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, 2 weeks ago I promised a whole bunch of volunteers and donations for the auction, and they haven't come through. I'm a failure. I should turn in my wand.
You're not a failure. You're just dealing with UUs. They like to wait till the last minute and keep us in suspense. Maybe they don't realize how close things are getting. Just give them a little nudge.
Nudge? How? Should I lay some guilt on them?
No, that will never work with this crowd. Just remind them of the good stuff.
Like how auction events provide social and community building opportunities all year long?
Yes. And?
Like we provide childcare and new members get a $10 discount, and we have delicious catering dinner and drinks and games and entertainment?
Yes, that's it. And then remind them of the important stuff.
Like midnight, Friday, February 14th is the last day to enter donations online, and that online bidding on excellent stuff starts on Saturday the 15th And the last day to buy tickets for the live auction and the catered dinner is next Sunday, February 16th.
Yes! And last but not least,
Buy your tickets and get your questions answered and sign up to volunteer at the auction table after the service. Hey, that was fun. I feel my sparkle coming back. I'm sparkling joy, I'm sparkling community, I'm sparkling generosity.
what she said. Sing along if you'd like.
And now please rise in body or in spirit to sing For All That Is Our Life, number 128 in your gray hymnal.
I'm Reverend Kelly McNeil. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as your minister of congregational life. I am a white woman in her mid-30s with long, dark hair and black speckled glasses with a rainbow stained glass stole. We gather on the stolen land of the Wyandotte, Miami, Seneca, Erie, Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed. We support the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio in their Land Back campaign, and we know that we have more to do to be in true relationship and solidarity with this land and those indigenous to it.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a woman in her early 60s with silver hair, wearing a stole with sparkly flowers that was made for me to co-officiate at Dana Reynolds' wedding. Fond memories. So let us enter into the spirit of worship and share these words from the great mystic poet Rabindranath Tagore. When the heart is hard and parched, come upon me with a shower of mercy. When grace is lost from life, come with a burst of song. When tumultuous work raises its din on all sides, shutting me out from beyond. Come to me, God of silence, with your peace and rest. When my beggarly heart sits crouched, shut up in a corner, break open the door. When desire blinds the mind with delusion and dust, O Holy One, come with your light and your thunder. It is now time for our children to meet Gus in the back to prepare to bring in the light. And everyone else, please turn to your neighbor and introduce yourself. It is now time for our children to bring in the light.
Our chalice lighting this morning comes from Maureen Killeran. Welcome you who come in need of healing, you who are confused or have been betrayed. Welcome with your problems and your pain. Welcome to your joys and your wonderings. Welcome your need to hope, your longing for assurance. Instead of answers, here may you find safety for your questions. Instead of promises, may you find community for your struggles. People with hands and hearts to join you in engaging the challenges and changes of our day. In this spirit, we light our chalice.
Thank you, Hazel, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I am a white femme millennial with wild and wonderful wavy hair, and I am wearing a loud, pink, sparkly sweater with hearts on it. Today's story is called I Wonder, written by Annika Harris and illustrated by John Rowe. Eva loves to look for the moon. It follows her from place to place, disappearing behind trees and mountains and then appearing again someplace new. Look, Mama, there it is. The moon looks so beautiful in the sky. How do you think it follows us, Eva? Eva thinks about it, but she just can't figure it out. It's okay to say, I don't know, says her mother. When we don't know something, we get to wonder about it. I wonder if the moon and the earth are friends, says Eva. Her mother smiles. I like that idea. But Mama, how does the moon really stay close to us? Well, there's an invisible force called gravity that pulls all the things in the universe together, Eva's mother explains. Gravity keeps the moon close to the earth, and it keeps the planets close to the sun, too. They circle around like this. Eva understands a little better, but then she starts to wonder, Mama, where does gravity come from? I don't know, Eva. Nobody really knows for sure. And when no one knows the answer to something, it's called a mystery. A mystery is something for everyone to wonder about. How fun. Eva imagines herself wondering about gravity together with all the people in the world. Eva watches the moon disappear behind the clouds as she walks, excited to see where it will appear next. How many grains of sand are in the whole world, Mama? I wonder about that too. There are trillions and trillions of grains of sand, but nobody knows exactly how many. Eva tries to think about all the sand in the world. It feels so big that I can't fit it all in my imagination. It makes me feel dizzy, like I'm falling. I know what you mean, her mother agrees, and I'm sure other people feel that way too. Eva walks down another path, looking for the moon, and a little orange butterfly appears. Then she notices there are butterflies everywhere. Mama, where did all of these butterflies come from? These butterflies have been flying around for a few days, but they started out as little caterpillars, and those caterpillars came from eggs, and those eggs came from other butterflies. There are cycles all around us with one thing ending and another beginning. Things are always changing. Can you think of other things that change? Clouds and frogs and me. Later, Eva wonders, Mama, what was here before all the butterflies and frogs and clouds, before everything? I don't know, answers her mother. It's another mystery. I like trying to imagine what was here before the beginning of everything. What do you think was here? And Eva says, smiling, I don't know. She thinks about it for a long time, and then she has an idea. I wonder if there were feelings. As she walks home, Eva sees the moon again, glowing brightly above the roof of her house. Let's go inside and look for the moon through the window. We live with some big mysteries. When we come upon one, we're given a little gift. Every mystery is something for all of us to wonder about together. What do you wonder about? The end. Whether you are young or old, being able to say, I don't know, can be powerful. Today, let's take the time to appreciate the wonder that is all around us. Please remain seated with hands over your hearts as we sing Sing and Rejoice, number 395, to sing our beloved children back to their families and out to class.
I'd like to draw some special attention to the announcement about the collection for Read and Feed. Right now, many of the migrants that we serve through this program are too scared to leave their homes to be able to do the shopping that's necessary for them to eat. And so what we collect for them is all the more important. Yesterday, I went and did a big shopping trip for Read and Feed, and I ended up spending about $150, and I realized how many families that are in that situation would be able to spend $150. And so I ask you to think about being really generous. The green bags are outside and next to the welcome bag. You can see them right there. Dave's holding one up. Please fill it and bring it back anytime in the next few weeks. And if you'd like to help Jacques pack all those things up, please see him after the service. We also share our offering this morning with the People's Justice Project, founded in 2014, which builds the power of Black and brown people disproportionately impacted by state violence, mass criminalization, and incarceration, by centering community organizing and leadership development. People's Justice Project has supported the families of Casey Goodson Jr., Andre Hill, Micaiah Bryant, and many others killed by local police as part of their work for change. First UU has partnered with PJP in multiple ways since 2016, from providing meeting space to showing up at actions doing research on Columbus policing. We hope to continue and strengthen our relationship, and so we ask that you be generous. In addition to passing the basket, you can text to give, scan the QR code, or visit firstucolumbus.org/donate. Thank you for your generosity.
Today's pastoral listener is Barb Fiorini. If you have something on your mind or heart today and would like a one-on-one conversation, Barb will be in Beach Hall after the service and will be happy to listen. We are also, as you heard in the announcements, beginning a new practice of a group listening circle after the service, hosted by a covenantal relations team member. You are welcome to join Kathleen Fowler for a listening circle in Sloter Lounge called Beyond Small Talk. We have some joys and sorrows from our community to share with you this morning, and there are 4 caring cards to sign in Beach Hall after the worship. Congratulations to Ann Chunko. Ann has been nominated and will receive the Unsung Hero Award from the United States Harness Writers Association for her 20 years of contributions as Information and Research Department Manager with the United States Trouting Association. A big happy birthday to our own Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley, who will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow. Caring thoughts are sent to Alice and Ron Rathburn. Alice reports that Ron has been hospitalized with double pneumonia and multiple viruses. He is improving, but may be hospitalized for some time. I also want to say a huge welcome to our 10 new members that joined us yesterday, some of whom are here, and if you are comfortable and want to stand up, you can, or you don't have to, but they're dispersed amongst. Now I invite us into a time of meditation and prayer with this prayer entitled New Territory by Rosemary Watola Tromer. My grief has inside it a forest thriving, evergreens of all ages, each tree grown from a seed of gratitude, each seed sown from a kindness, a beauty, a caring word. Some trees were planted by strangers, others by beloveds, and others I planted myself. See how it is that in these moments, when I think my feet are too leaden to take another step, the sunlight will sift through the overstory and shine a path. Sometimes the whole walk is just one step, but one step is all it takes to not be stuck. There are glades where song gathers and I can rest, trees where I can climb and find a nest, made of thankfulness large enough to hold me. I didn't know how vast the forest was until I knew how wide grief could be. And so I keep planting trees. I am learning to trust the shade, to breathe in more deeply the fragrant air. And despite grief, because of grief, I am learning to move deeper in, then deeper still.
thing to do. Lay all day in the sun with you. I don't have a thing to wear. I got flowers in my hair. I don't have a thing to do but lay all day in the sun with you. I don't need a diamond ring. Don't need much of anything. I don't have a thing to wear. I got flowers in my hair. 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 Well, you don't have a lot to say. We don't talk much anyway. I don't know, but I've been told the silent one's got a heart of gold. I don't need a diamond ring. I got a brand new song to sing. I don't have a thing to wear. I got flowers in my hair. 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 I got flowers in my flowers in my flowers. I got flowers in my hair. I got flowers in my hair. I got flowers in my hair.
Our reading this morning is from the Rabbi Daniel Rutenberg from a blog she wrote on February 3rd. The trauma happening now and that will continue to intensify is real. We must be practicing everything that can help guide us in the weeks and months ahead. I'm talking about the kind of thing that helps you plug into yourself, other people, the world, and your place in it. And if and only if this resonates with you, the big bigness, the universe, the divine, the great everything of which we are a part, if God isn't your language, maybe words like creativity, intuition, love, the universe, or interconnectedness are. Maybe you call it spiritual practice. Maybe you don't. Your meditation, your prayer, your morning writing pages, your long walks, your art, your swimming, your poetry, pottery, and yes, even your parenting, if you can show up in the right frame of mind every once in a while. Do the thing that sustains and nourishes you. That makes you more alive to yourself and the present moment. Whatever that thing is, this moment of history will require the best of us. In this way, we don't use ourselves up. We learn to draw from something bigger than us and to utilize and harness that power. Please stay seated as we sing our meditative hymn, number 1031 in your teal hymnal.
May I be filled
I don't know about you, but it feels for me like every muscle in my body is asking for action, wanting to do something. And we have been having some wonderful action things recently. We had the protests on Wednesday. Evidently yesterday for the Indivisible Ohio, this place was completely filled, and people were being turned away at the door. So clearly, a lot of us feel the need for action. And I think there's another muscle that we need to develop right now. The muscle of spiritual reflection that will enable us to sustain ourselves through the days and months and years to come, that we will need its resilience to survive. Father Richard Rohr is a very liberal Catholic priest who's been an inspiration to me for decades. He offers a view and a method of spiritual reflection that is the farthest thing from dogmatic. Instead, he invites questions and curiosity and deep listening. He created an organization called the Center for Action and Contemplation. And he likes to say the most important word in that title is and. We can be both contemplative and active. And I would expand this to say that we can be both mystical and rational. It's become a kind of spiritual practice for me to try to eliminate the word but from my vocabulary as much as possible. I agree with F. Scott Fitzgerald when he said that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. I believe that this is a skill that we all desperately need right now. So today I want to talk about two misguided conceptions related to spirituality. One is that spirituality and mysticism are the opposite of rationality. The idea that a rational person would entertain thoughts and feelings that cannot be pinned down into words seems, well, irrational. But it is also sometimes said that contemplation is the opposite of action. And particularly right now, as I said, we're beset with a feeling that we should be doing something. It's just that we don't necessarily know what we should be doing. I would suggest that contemplation is not the opposite of action, it is the precursor to it. And that mysticism is not the opposite of rationality, it is an enhancement to our rational experience. In one of the churches that I've served, I had a running conversation with a member who considered himself an adamant atheist. He was constantly struggling with the religious language that I would often use and that didn't mean anything to him. He wasn't being contrarian and he was never upset about me talking about spirituality. He just didn't get it. Until the day his daughter was born. He said to me, "I never thought I could feel that way. I felt flooded with light and like there was no me separate from my daughter or my wife. We were of one body, her body." And after that, he started paying attention to the other things that he had never paid attention to before. And while he didn't have that kind of fully all-filled experience again, he told me he felt forever open to a different way of seeing the world after. I think relatively few people get to experience that kind of blinding sense of oneness, but at some level I believe that most of us crave the chance to do so. Whether it's a conscious thought or not, I think that's part of what brings us to church. Even if you're not saying, "I want to have a mystical experience every day," I think most of us do come to church seeking a sense of peace, a sense of unity, a sense of meaning, a sense of connection with others, and with something outside of ourselves. In his book, The Mystic Heart, Wayne Teasdale says, "Fortunately, everyone is a mystic. At some deep level, we know that we are not mutually alienated from one another, and that alone we do not have sufficient being. But unfortunately, most of us have not raised that knowing to our explicit consciousness enough to transform our embodied life." What would it be like to transform our embodied life? Many of us, myself included, come to the point of asking that question because of some crisis or grief or challenge to who we always thought ourselves to be. D.H. Lawrence wrote, "I believe that one is converted when one hears the low, vast murmur of life, of human life, troubling one's hitherto unconscious self. I believe one is first born into oneself for the happy developing of oneself, while the world is a nursery and pretty things are to be snatched for and pleasant things tasted. Some people seem to exist like this just to the end, but most are born again on entering maturity. Then they're born to humanity, to a consciousness of all the laughing and the never-ceasing murmur of pain and sorrow that comes from the terrible multitudes of all of us." How do we nurture these experiences? Can we nurture these experiences? And how do we reconcile them with our rational understanding of life? Talking about mysticism and spirituality is a little bit like what someone once said when they said talking about poetry is like dancing about architecture. Talking about and mysticism are pretty far apart from one another because mysticism and mystical experience defy description by their very nature. The poet Catherine Mosby said, "The way to grace is unique and ineffable. It is more likely to be intuited than to be explained. Much of what attracts us to the spiritual is its mystery, its ability to elude language. It's not surprising then to find language more often getting in the way than showing the way. Perhaps that's why some of us more readily make a connection through the senses, a sight or a smell, a piece of music or a work of art. The oblique approach occasionally finds access that the direct one can't." So if that's the case, I've kind of set an impossible task for myself this morning, trying to talk about spirituality in a sermon. But as much as I like to think I have great powers as a preacher, I'm not really here today to give you a spiritual experience, so much as I would like to encourage you to open yourselves up to one, to perhaps many, to a way of living that allows the less than rational, what I like to call the trans-rational, in. Again, Catherine Mosby says, in 1817, Keats wrote, "I'm certain of nothing but the holiness of the heart's affection and the truth of the imagination." Cultivation of the soul might be as simple as listening to one's heart and examining the different moments of one's life. Like Eva in our story this morning, we can walk through the world in wonder, accepting that much is indeed mystery. So I agree with Mosby that this is one of the most important ways, listening to one's heart, but I don't believe that is always easy or simple. We live in the midst of a culture that demands exactly the opposite from us, constantly tugging on our attention with the latest this or latest that, or that assaults our senses with this endless news cycle. Various addictions are readily available to us to help numb our pain, to keep us from doing the deeper work. As Rabbi Daniel Ruttenberg said in our reading this morning, we must invest in our own inner care right now to hold at bay the trauma that the blizzard of abhorrent actions is deliberately designed to create. Resistance, in this case, is about developing spiritual resilience. Spiritual reflection is often misinterpreted as being about avoiding life. The great Buddhist teacher and psychologist Jack Kornfield says that since beginning to teach, I've seen how many students misunderstand spiritual practice, how many hope to use it to escape from their lives, how many have used its ideals and language as a way to avoid the pain and difficulty of human existence. How many have entered temples and churches and monasteries looking for the special effects? Looking for the special effects. Like Cornfield, I have not found spiritual practice to be simple or painless. I spent 7 years in spiritual direction midway through my ministry, and 3 of those years my director guided me through the spiritual exercises developed by St. Ignatius of Loyola. And let me tell you, those exercises are not for the faint of heart. They take you into the heart of your deepest griefs and challenge the core of your being. It was hard work, and many of the days as I was driving to see my spiritual director, I wondered why in the world I was putting myself through this. But there were many times as I left her home that my heart felt lighter, and the world seemed brighter, even on the gloomiest of days. So I can hear some of you thinking, boy, Teresa, you make this so appealing. And indeed, even when we have those mountaintop experiences like I described in the beginning, there's the inevitable falling back down to earth. Or as Jack Kornfield titled his earlier book, After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. Best title ever. But I can tell you that if I had not taken the time and the energy and made the space to do that spiritual work, I would not be the person standing before you today. I would be a brittle, angry, cynical person, the person that I was starting to become before I took those steps. It's not a linear process. I remember early in my career when I was a guest preacher at a congregation and my sermon was something about encouraging political action. And one person came up to me afterward and said, I really can't put myself out into the world until I've done all of my inner healing. I thought, good luck with that. No one ever gets to that pinnacle. For me, it's a constant process of trying to be open to all that is, even when it is full of grief and pain. Mirabai Starr is a teacher of contemplative practice who describes herself as a Jewish Sufi with a Hindu guru, a Buddhist meditation practice, and a pagan inclination who is a contemporary translator and commentator of the Christian mystics. I guess she's covered all of the bases. She recently wrote this: the key to living as a prophet mystic is showing up for what is, no matter how heartbreaking or laborious, how fraught with seemingly intractable conflict, and how tempting it might be to meditate or pray our way out of the pain. Contemplative practices train us to befriend reality, to become intimate with all things by offering them our complete attention. In this way, the prophet and the mystic occupy the same broken open space. The nexus is grief. The mystic has tasted the grace of direct experience of the sacred and then seemingly lost the connection. She feels the pain of the separation from the divine and longs for union. The prophet has perceived the brokenness of the world and is incapable of unseeing it, feeling the pain of injustice and cannot help but protest. But the mystic cannot jump to union without spending time in the emptiness of longing. The prophet must sit in helplessness before stepping up and stepping out. We absolutely need to find ways to act right now to make our outrage known and to demand justice. That's why some of you showed up for that protest and why we're asking you to collect food for the hungry. And in order to sustain ourselves in this time, we need to prepare our spirits for the long haul. My colleague Lynn Unger talks about how we're constantly bombarded by the message that we should try harder. And she writes, instead of trying harder, maybe we could try softer. With more flexibility, more curiosity, more ability to shift to meet the moment. If success is defined as trying harder or pushing forward until we win, well, I don't know what that looks like. But trying softer, that could mean pretty much anything. A conversation with a neighbor or friend, a phone call to a congressperson, a phone number you memorized to call for help, an article you read and maybe share, a container of soup shared with a neighbor. Engaging in spiritual practice sounds sometimes very hard, like we have to commit to something extensive and time-consuming, but it need not be hard or overwhelming. Right now, my practice is simply to read poetry every day and to reflect on what rises up in me when I do so. Whether it be poetry, the language of the soul, or music, the siren of the spirit, or walking in woods, or writing in a journal, I ask you to consider giving yourself the gift of some kind of spiritual practice. And we have a multitude of activities and opportunities here for you to engage your spirit as well as your mind and body. We are, after all, a religious community. Again, Rabbi Rutenberg, every time we do something that requires us to be here and now, we take charge of the moment. We remind our thoughts and feelings that we are in the driver's seat, that they can sit quietly in the passenger seat if they like, but they do not have permission to grab the wheel. And then it gets easier to do that the next time and the time after that. Even in that moment, in those moments when it might be more tempting to react rather than to choose our reactions, we must remember that we are of value even when we are not doing, that even when the world is awful, we are allowed to have joy, perhaps especially when the world is awful. So again, I ask you to consider giving yourself the gift of contemplation, to entertain the mystic, to hold ourselves in a place of experiencing what is, even when it is hard, and to open up the space for joy. It is all there for the taking. It is all inside of us for the healing. It is all among us to remind us that we are human together. Amen. So may it be. Our final hymn is I Know I Can, number 1015 in our teal hymnal.
Troubles we
take the hand of someone close to you or place your hand over your heart. Our benediction comes from my colleague Angela Herrera. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards and the world needs vision. Bring them with you, and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you have all that you need to do it right here in this room. Amen. So may it be. We extinguish our chalice with our words. Yeah. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.